Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our weekly SAIL College and Career Workshop. My name is Megan Faulkner, and I'm the program manager for SAIL, which is the Summer Academy to Inspire Learning. We're here at the University of Oregon, and we are here to share all kinds of different topics that have to deal with college, careers, whatever your plans are for after high school, and as you start thinking about higher education or whatever path it is you want to take. We really want to share different skills and resources that can help you make really great decisions and set you up for success. So I'm really excited for our guest today because it's definitely something I could have used when I was in high school or early college, and is a really great resource here at the University of Oregon, but can also, again, apply to any sort of school or plan. So our two guest speakers, we have Gilbert Rogers and Logan Gierke, and they're both with the University of Oregon's Financial Wellness Center. And they'll tell us a little bit more about what that is and what they do. But we're super happy to have them both here. And then we have our two SAIL staff mentors, Angel and Nico, who are here with us today. They are going to help share any of your questions that you have and be our awesome behind the scenes support staff. So as a reminder, before we get started, this presentation, we put these on for you, our high school students. So please go ahead if you're watching from YouTube and you have access to it. There should be a little chat panel to the right. You can put in any questions that you have during the presentation. You're not going to interrupt us at all. And we will get to those towards the end of the presentation. So please go ahead and use that. So without any further ado, I want to turn it over to Gilbert and Logan. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gilbert Rogers, and Logan and I are both happy to be here with you all. I am the Assistant Director of Financial Wellness, and the Financial Wellness Center basically represents the U of O's efforts to provide financial literacy education to all students across campus. And Logan is actually going to present today and share a lot more about our program and what we seek to accomplish throughout campus. So with that being said, I will pass it off to Logan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Logan Gierke. I am a peer financial coach on campus, as well as I'm a senior majoring in business and minoring in economics. And yes, I'll be kicking off the Financial Wellness Center presentation. Let me just share my screen. Perfect. So we are the Financial Wellness Center, and there's a little music, sorry. And our mission here is to financially empower students with the knowledge needed to make sound financial decisions during and after college. We recognize there was a big need on campus to increase financial literacy. So we are here as a relaunch program, as a resource for all of you, all of students on campus. And we cover basically the big five, which is a holistic view of financial wellness that covers earning, which is personal budgeting, spending, so managing your inflow and outflows of money, borrowing, concerning student loans, understanding credit and credit cards. We get a lot of questions about how to build credit, protecting, which is identifying theft and fraud. We want to make sure your money stays your money. So we want to make sure that we're helping you get as much advice to protecting that, as well as saving and investing. I know with the GameStop, we got a lot of questions about the stock market and everything. So just covering saving strategies and just giving that brief explanation of investing 101. So how we reach students, we put on workshops such as this with the SAIL group, as well as other areas on campus, as well as general ones that are accessible to any students, as well as recorded, so you can go back and watch them later if you have class or any other sort of conflict. We offer one-on-one peer financial coaching, free to students, 30-minute sessions. Come in with any thing that you can think of, and we'll help guide and educate as much as possible, as well as building partnerships across campus. We have some with Greek life, athletics, just to get our name across there. And financial wellness concerns everybody. So we just want to make sure we're as accessible as possible on campus. And so today I'm super excited to be introducing to you guys on what financial wellness even means, as well as testing your financial literacy through a Kahoot. I know we're a live stream, so there's a little bit of a lag, but questions still apply. Maybe quiz yourself on a piece of paper if you can't log on as you watch the recording, as well as tips for navigating college that I've learned, as well as just hearing some of my peers going through college. So first, what is financial wellness? Financial wellness refers to how secure your money is given all variables involving an unknown future. But what does that even mean? Financial wellness is your relationship with money, and we want to make sure that you guys are all establishing good habits to propel you for further success in the future. We realize that a lot of people are new to financial wellness. They don't know kind of the ins and outs of it. And so we want to help you set up good habits that you can carry on post-college and make sure that you're better off than what you started when you were on campus. And there's a lot of great benefits to having good financial wellness. Money to pay bills, establishing a good credit history, overall lower financial stress. Your college students, you got focus on schools, athletics, other interests in either arts, science, and we want you guys to put all of your focus on all your on campus and off campus focus. We don't want money to be your stress. We want to help you alleviate that as much as possible, and so you can be successful in your lives. And so without further ado, I'm going to launch my Kahoot. If you're able to log on, great. If not, we'll just kind of run through these questions and have fun with it. See what everyone knows. So here's the game pen. I know this was my first Kahoot I made, so I'm super excited. I feel very tech savvy making a Kahoot. So I hope you guys all enjoy it and we can learn some fun things along the way. So it looks like we got a couple people hopping in, which is awesome. I'm super excited. I'll wait maybe 20 extra seconds, see who is able to log on, and then we'll run through this. Great, got 3 people. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the Kahoot, and let's see what you guys know. All right, so for our first question, what is a budget? How much money someone spends, estimating income and expenditures, how much money someone receives, or I don't need a budget. So clock's ticking down. We got some answers in. Maybe people are thinking, refreshing their memories on what a budget is. Yes, so a budget is estimating both your income and expenditures. So how much money you're spending. So got 3 people right. Maybe someone didn't think about, oh, here's a scoreboard. So we got Joe leading with Mike and Gilbert and Ducklings trailing behind. So let's see with the second question. Saving equals, so for all our mathematical people, income minus fixed expenditures, income minus variable expenditures, or income minus total expenditures. I know math isn't for everybody, but just a little, it's a useful little equation to kind of remember how much to save. Yes, so we got 3 people with total expenditures. Yeah, everything you spend counts underneath that category. So looks like Joe's holding on to the lead. Gilbert and Duckling trailing behind. Let's see if they can kind of close this gap. So which of the following is not a fixed expense? So that fixed expense falls under that saving equation. So we have rent, tuition, loan payment, and gas. Yeah, one of those not questions. So you got to figure out which one is not. So hopefully they're not too tricky. Gas. So Yeah, gas is not a fixed expense. I know every time I go pump up my gas, sometimes I got a quarter of a tank I gotta fill up or half. So definitely your gas bill is fluctuating either weekly, monthly, however often you have to fix up, fill up. Oh, Joe's on a streak. 3 correct answers. And then Duckling and Mike are now closing the gap. So which of the following is not a variable expense? So that also falls under that savings equation. And we kind of identified what a fixed expense is. So what would not be a variable expense? Got a Netflix subscription, campus activities, utilities, and food. Awesome. Oh, that must have been a tricky one. Yeah, so a Netflix subscription. I know a lot of people use other people's logins, but whoever is actually paying that Netflix subscription, that's a flat rate per month. So that's not fluctuating every month. Whereas food, utilities, campus activities, those can all vary. Let's see how the rankings. Joe's still holding on to his lead, but Mike's moving up. Question 5, how much money should you have in your emergency fund? So if you're not sure what an emergency fund is, that's basically kind of like your savings, how much cushion you want to have in case something happens, whether if that's a loss of a job or kind of like an oh no, worst case scenario, your cushion to fall back on. So it's suggested that you have 3 to 6 months in your emergency fund. So 100% on that one. Great work. I thought that would be a tricky one. I didn't know that before I started to be a peer financial coach. And so Mike has 3 correct answers. He's on a streak. For question 6, what is not a way to track spending? So you can write down all your purchases, download a budgeting app, keep all your receipts, or keep track in your head. So I don't know if people still grab receipts. I don't know. I still collect receipts for some reason, but yeah, keeping track in your head. Unless you're, I don't know, a mental genius, I have a really hard time remembering how much I spend on everything. So it's not your best route, but if you're one of those rare people that can do it, more power to you. But these other 3 methods are a lot more useful for tracking your spending. Joe still holds on to the lead, but Mike has an answer streak of 4. Let's see if he can catch up. For question number 7, what is a loan? So we have a check, money in the stock market, money I never need to pay back, or a sum of money borrowed and paid back with interest. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you borrow money, they're going to want it back and they're going to want a little something extra for the risk that they're taking lending you that money. So great work, everyone. Oh, Joe's back in the game with 3 in a row, still holding on to that lead. Let's see if Mike can really catch up. What is a credit report? So yeah, we'll define this term later on. I don't want to give it away for the people that know it, but detailed breakdown of an individual's credit history, a report that shows how good a credit card is, bank statement, something I don't need to worry about. So let's see if that last person get their answer in. Oh, kind of split. So a detailed breakdown of an individual's credit history. It's definitely something you want to worry about, especially if you're wanting to apply to loans. It's basically how good you are, how reliable you are, and paying back loans and everything. So it's definitely something that's important, and we'll provide more of an explanation on what goes into a credit report later in this presentation. So let's see, it's Joe and Mike neck and neck though, but Joe's still having that lead. But Mike, great work on the answer streak. What is a FICO score? This one might be a tricky one, but one of many types of credit scores, how much of your credit you're currently using, how many times you recently applied for credit, how many times you've made a payment later. Oh, well, a lot of people seem to know what a FICO score is, which is great. But yes, it's kind of that numerical value of how good your credit report is. So that little additional piece also important. But Duckling and Gilbert and Caleb, great work. Let's see if any of them can kind of make a break in the rankings. So for question 10, we have what is not a way to build your credit? So a secured credit card, authorized user to a guardian's account, paying bills on time or in a revolving fashion, buying anything, and accruing debt. So final seconds. Yeah, so buying anything and accruing debt is not a way to build your credit. You definitely do not want to start charging things on your credit card with kind of no repayment plan or any idea on how you're going to start paying off those objects. If you're going to purchase something, you definitely want to have a plan on how you're wanting to pay it, whether if that's within a select amount of months at the end of the month. But definitely something to use wisely. And then all these three methods are ways you can build credit, which I put on as a little reminder later on in the presentation, if you're wanting to take notes. Oh, Gilbert's moving up in the third place, but Joe still has that lead. For question 11, we have what is an investment? The stock market, waste of money, investing for a profit or positive result, or investing for a loss or negative result. Got two tricky ones, so we'll see what you all think it is. Yes, so investing is making money for, or hoping to make money for a positive or a positive result or a profit. I see nobody fell for my little loss or negative result, but great work. Yes, the stock market is part of making an investment, but it's not the only way you can make an investment. And then I see someone said a waste of money, but I don't know. Some people are doing pretty well based off their investments. So I guess to each their own, depends how risk averse you are. But Joe's still holding on to the lead. We've got one more question. We'll see if Mike can kind of close the gap. So for the last question, we have what is interest? So I know we had that loan question, but let's see what that interest aspect is. So the total amount of money lent out, a bill, a loan, amount of money a lender receives for lending money. So, oh, 100%. That's how we like to end the game. Yes. So that interest is how much that extra money that you're paying back for the lender for taking the risk. And so the longer you kind of take to pay back, the more interest you will be paying on it overall. But low interest rates are definitely something that you want to try to get. So let's see our financial wellness podium. So in third place, we have Gilbert. Great work. 7 out of 12. Second place, Mike. 10 out of 12. Awesome work. And last but not least, first place, we have Joe. Great work on holding on to that lead. 9 out of 12. That was awesome, guys. I hope you guys had fun taking that financial literacy quiz. I sure had fun making the Kahoot, so I was happy to share with you all. But I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint right now. Just to kind of go over some of those topics that we hit on and the Kahoot. So I wanted to provide like lessons learned on some great ways to kind of tools to kind of get under your belt the first year to make it a little bit more easier on your journey here in college. I know not being home with mom and dad or a legal guardian and just having kind of that guidance, you're kind of like big kids now, you're on your own. And so financial wellness is one of those things that you're kind of responsible for and learning on your own. So that's why we're kind of here to help guide you guys. But definitely creating a personal budget early on. It definitely lowers financial stress. And so you can do those one of two ways. You can connect with a peer financial coach for one of our one-on-one sessions, or if you're pretty tech savvy, you can download a personal budgeting app. I know Mint is one that I've heard many peer financial coaches use, and they had great reviews to say about it. But you can also be old school and use a sheet of paper to track your spending and all your expenses, just writing them down. But I'll kind of go over a little briefly like what goes into a personal budget just to get you guys thinking about it and starting out. Also planning out meals, meal plans, grocery shopping. Food is one of those variable costs that you have to control how much you're allocating. And if you're spending money on a meal plan, you want to make sure you're utilizing all of that. Whether you're paying for it or somebody else is, you don't want to waste money. And so I kind of provide a little bit of a tip and tricks just on how to think about meal plans, but meal prepping was a big thing, and it kind of still is when you're using meal on a meal plan. And then applying for any eligible scholarships. It's free money, so you might as well apply, and it's a great it's a great way. The worst case scenario is you don't get the scholarship. You can apply next year, and hopefully you can get it then. But it's free money on the table, and so you might as well just take that extra effort to fill out that application because it could be a couple hundred, it could be a couple thousand. You never know. And then taking advantage of student discounts. So Amazon Prime is free for all students. A lot of local shops and restaurants offer either 10% off or free fountain drink with meals. So that's just great things to keep in the back of your head that you are a student. So use it to your full advantage. Every little bit counts and every little bit of savings. So um, definitely want to, if you're paying for Amazon Prime, want to cancel that because you're a student, you can get it for free. And then also just looking into alternate ways of transportation. Car is not as big of a necessity as a freshman. I think campus is relatively easy to navigate. I walked everywhere my freshman year. But then also when you are budgeting, you have to consider if you do have a car, you're paying for gas, if you're responsible for your car insurance or any maintenance. I had to go last week change my windshield wipers, and I was like, oh man, I gotta just like random taken out of my grocery bills to go replace my windshield wipers. So just like things to think about. You can look into Ubering on campus. We have a bus that takes you from one end to the other, and that's free. And so those are just carpooling, maybe buddying up with somebody who has a car and just pitching in for their gas and just kind of alleviates that aspect in your budget and is a big savings. Um, but I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what a personal budget is. So the Kahoot kind of covered it if you were able to play or watch along, but you want to identify your source of income. So whether if that's a paycheck from a job you have, or if anybody is helping you through college, maybe establishing like a weekly or monthly allowance that they're giving you that's covering groceries or etc. And then as well as stipends. So those are all examples of income sources. And if you don't have an income, that's perfectly fine. We can work on managing your spending. That's spending habits are ones that you want to get control over and like kind of set in good habits now. And so those are those fixed and variable expenses that we cover. So fixed expenses are like reoccurring. So that Netflix subscription that somebody's paying, maybe you're not. I use my sister's. So, but rent, insurance, if you're in charge of your phone bill, and then variable expenses are payments that depend on you. So gas, if you're having a car, it's something to consider, groceries, and utilities. So those are all payments that are you just want to budget for. Um, and we're happy to help. All the peer financial coaches are great in going step by step through this process and helping you achieve whatever goals you are. Whether you don't have savings now and that's something that you want to have by the end of your freshman year is a small savings, like we'll help guide you and get there. Um, we're just wanting to be a tool to help you guys understand what personal budgeting is because it is new. A lot of my roommates still don't even know what personal budgeting is. They always go, Logan, where do I start? So you're not the only ones if that's the case. So we touched on credit a little bit on the Kahoot, but yeah, so your credit report is a detailed breakdown of an individual's credit history prepared by the credit bureau. It kind of sounds fancy, but it's just kind of how good your credit report is that numerical value of how trustworthy you are in getting loans. And those can be found on the three big agencies. And why it's important because you might not be needing a car or a home loan right now in your freshman year, but you will be at some point later on in your life, and you want to start building that now. So you're just setting your future self up for success. It's just really important, and it can be something small. So we provided like ways to build credit, so you can get a secured credit card, which is basically a credit card that's backed by cash deposits, and then you can be an authorized user to a guardian's account. I've seen that as the most common way that people build their credit cards from people I've talked with. Paying your credit card in revolving fashion if you have one. So you want to have those monthly payments. And normally on your credit card, you have at least a minimum payment you have to cover per month. But making sure you're paying those bills on time, and then as well as paying bills on time loans also fall under that. So if you do have student loans, you want to make sure you're paying those on time, because those also go into your credit report and impact your FICO score. So moving on to meal plans, I got this information off of like UO Dining website, so it's all available. I just kind of wanted to throw this on there so you guys were aware that there are multiple options when you have meal plans that fluctuate in points level, and they even break down like a day in the life. Um, but this is a lot of words in it, so I wanted to offer my guidance or kind of tips when looking to pick a meal plan that's best for you so you can maximize the money you're spending. So it's suggested that a full meal was roughly 5 points. It's been a while since I've been in the dining halls, but a course meal and a fountain drink was basically 5 points. And so 3 meals in a day, 7 days a week, I got 105 points on my calculator. But how many of those meals are you planning on eating full meals? Do you skip breakfast, or are you a snacker? I know some of my friends could never eat breakfast, but I need to have breakfast. So I definitely counted those in when I was doing the meal plan. I said, Mom, no, I gotta gotta make sure I have breakfast. But yeah, so you want to identify how many of those are full meals. Maybe you're planning on eating out on the weekends with your friends, maybe a Saturday night, you want to go get dinner, treat yourself, eat a little something different from the dining hall, or utilizing the kitchen spaces. I know some dorms offer like a limited, at least a microwave, or a full stove or something. I don't know what the dining halls have now, but I do know that some offer like a limited kitchen space. So if you're planning on cooking any meals or having any going to a grocery store and buying any pre-cooked meals that you're heating up in the microwave, you're just wanting to make sure you're keeping a mental tab of how many you think you're having a week so you can subtract that from the meal plan. That way you're just maximizing how much money you're spending on meal plan points and how much you're spending elsewhere. If you're all in on the meal plan, then don't have to worry about it. Or if you don't really think the meal plan is something you're utilizing, you're not spending money on something you're not using. So that's kind of our little takeaway for a meal plan breakdown. Also, scholarship opportunities. I've found these on the UO website. These are all eligible for incoming students. I just wanted you guys to know that there are a ton that you guys are able to apply for, eligible for, and so free money on the table. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of those, because why not? And then, so a couple of takeaways that I have for you guys is, if I haven't emphasized it enough, start budgeting now. It's a great way your freshman year to start learning. That way, if you're moving off campus for sophomore, junior, senior year, you kind of are exposed to that. And then you're able to kind of take on more when you're having to pay rent or utilities. You're kind of managing. I know food was an easy one for me to start with on what I was supposed to be budgeting. And so now it kind of helped me when I had to start paying for rent and utilities and et cetera. It gets to be a lot. So starting to budget now in your freshman year, you'll definitely have a leg up from a lot of other students. And looking at ways to build credit. I mean, as I said, it only sets you up for success in the future. And so if you're able to start building your credit as soon as possible, that's great. And then also just connecting with the Financial Wellness Center, even if it's just coming in and saying hello, or I went to your guys' workshop, you guys told me that I should start personal budgeting, I need help. We're here as a resource for you. It's all free, logging into our workshops. We just want to be a tool here that helps you guys get into success. And so Pure Financial Coaching, you can visit our websites to schedule an appointment and come into us, talk about one of the big fives, and we'll help educate and guide you along the way. We have a lot of great coaches that are eager to have appointments, so don't think you're bothering us by scheduling one-on-one. We really want it. And then be on the lookout. We're in Financial Literacy Month right now, and so we have a lot of great workshops that our coaches are planning. I sat in on a tax one last week. That was really informative. I learned a lot. And then we have investing, building more and understanding credit, planning for post-grad. I know you guys are just starting out, but for the postgrads, and then salary negotiation and young professional panels. So we have a lot of topics. There'll be a lot more next year on campus on fall. Hopefully we're in person. Be great to connect with you guys all. And if you're interested in doing any of these workshops or attending, you can reach out to us on social media or email us, and we'll provide you those links. And I have our email and webpage. We're on Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to DM us if you're wanting to go to one of those workshops. They're going to be awesome, as well as we go live on YouTube and Facebook. And we do offer recordings as well for you guys to watch later if there are any conflicts. But I'm so thankful that you guys had me on today and I could introduce you guys to the Financial Wellness Center.
Logan, thank you so much. That was amazing. Super fun. And I loved your Kahoot, and you offered so many great resources for our students. So thank you. Gilbert, anything to add here? Should we hop into questions? What do you think?
Logan done a great job of scratching the surface with everything, which is what we wanted to do, just introduce these topics to you all. And much of what was covered, you may have not experienced it, may have not created a budget, but as Logan said, just schedule a meeting with us once you arrive. We're doing meetings virtually now, and we'd be happy to help. That's what we do, and a lot of students have given us feedback that they've learned a lot from appointments and been able to apply it and kind of move on that pathway to financial success. So it's not about where you started, it's about where you finish. So that's all I really have. We're ready for questions if you all have any.
Perfect. And yeah, I'm going to shout out to our sales students watching. I know for a fact, a lot of you are future ducks and are coming to the U of O. We've been doing a lot of phone calls and checking in with our seniors. So please take advantage of this resource, because I think it's such a great option to get started early. Angel and Nico, if you are available, would definitely love for you to come back and share some of these questions. If you want to alternate or ask your favorite questions that we've seen pop up.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Logan and Gilbert, for introducing the program. But personally, I want to know, what inspired both of you to provide financial assistance to students. So a little background story, whatever feels comfortable with y'all.
I can go first, Gilbert. So I'm majoring in business, so I had a strong interest for finance to begin with. So I wanted to dip my toes into the water and get exposed to peer financial coaching. And my sister always has been calling me up saying, Logan, I need you to help me with my budgeting. I need help with my money. I need to manage it better. And so I just stumbled across this application and I said, I'm already helping my sister. I might as well just learn more formally how to do this and help other students. And it's been a really great experience so far. So I really enjoyed it.
All right, so I won't give you all the book. I'll give you the short story. But I've always been interested in just financial education. I spent a little time working in banking, and the thing that I realized was that a lot of the questions I would get from individuals that I would work with would just be basic questions. How do I build my credit? What is a credit card? How does it work? What is an investment? And all these questions that I would get. And the more and more that I would work with individuals, I would always say there's some sort of gap in the level of education that we receive while in high school compared to what we need as an adult to make decisions. So as I transitioned from working in banking, I began to work with the Army doing financial counseling and coaching. And I realized then that I was passionate about it. I've helped many family members who just wasn't exposed to any sort of financial education growing up. So my big thing was to try to find some way that I could help others along the way, so that they can avoid some of the mistakes that others have made, some of the mistakes that I made once I graduated from college. So there's a lot that we can learn early on that can prevent future mistakes. So that's why I think that financial education is important. And that's why I am so passionate about it. And the big thing that you understand that you understand when you work with Logan or myself or another peer financial coach is it's not difficult. These topics, they're not rocket science. It's just a matter of being exposed to these areas of personal finance. I mean, creating a budget is just writing information down and being disciplined enough to keep track of how much money, is coming in or how much is going out. And even if you're in college and you're not able to work and you're not getting a lot of support from home, or you're just doing the best you can, it's about building strong habits, as Logan said early on, that will carry on in the future. So I gave you a book and I said I'd give you a short story, but that's why I'm so passionate about it.
No, I think it was perfect background. I appreciate you both sharing what inspired you to provide this assistance for students. And Nico, if you want, you can ask another question.
Yeah, I'll ask another question. So what are some ways that you can kind of get your money to work for you and not necessarily like be at the mercy of like, or have it like feel like everything's coming down,
You want me to take this one, Logan, or we can tag team it if you'd like? All right. So money working for you, it can actually work for you in a number of ways. But the most important thing that you need to do is just understand your situation. So before you go to someone else and you say, hey, I want to invest, or I want to get into real estate, or I want to be an entrepreneur, it's much more important for you to understand your situation. And how do you accomplish that? By learning to budget, by learning and being consistent with how much money you have coming in and how much you're spending, and you control that through a budget, of course, but also challenging yourself with your finances. So it's not enough to say, hey, I'm able to save $10 a month or $15 a month. The goal is for you to challenge, but put in place some sort of challenge that says, okay, if I can save $10 a month, my goal is now 20, and trying to find different ways to cut back on what you're spending. From there, once you build those successful habits, then it's more of, okay, I have a little extra money. What can I do with this money? But you can't get to that point until you learn to create that budget, as Logan mentioned. And I always say that's the foundation of money management. Once you get that foundation in place, meaning controlling, what's coming in, what's going out, and also planning for the unforeseen expenses that come up. Like, if you have a car flat tire, it could be a random, I don't know, you have to go to the doctor, you have a cold or something, I don't know. But something could happen that brings on an unexpected expense. And when that happens, that's when usually things get out of whack. But once you get in the habit of saving money, putting money back, then you can start thinking about investing and as they say, making money work for you. But the first step is to kind of control your money, control, what you can as much as possible. And then life will happen along the way. But as long as you build those successful habits, then you can start thinking about investing or those other ways that people say that you make your money work for you. And Logan, you can add to that if you'd like. I tried to take it.
I thought that was a really good response. You covered everything.
All right. And another question we have is, are the financial wellness services completely free to any students?
Yes, everything's completely free. Schedule as many one-on-ones as you would like. All the workshops, all free to attend. We just want to be a resource to help students. So come see us.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And then another question that's right onto that one. So can high school students use these services, or is it just for college students only?
All right. So right now, we if a high school student has a question and you want to meet with someone, we'd be happy to have a discussion. But a majority of the conversations that we would have typically would be with current U of O students. But if there's a one-off situation where you're starting to create that first budget, or you're just you have a question, you can definitely reach out and email us, and we'd be happy to respond to your email. But most of our one-on-one appointments, our one-on-one appointments are for current students, but we're happy to answer an email and help out however we can.
All right. So next question is kind of a big one. Why do we need credit? Why do we need good credit specifically?
So why you need good credit is when you're going down the line, you're gonna need a house loan, or if you're planning on purchasing either your car in college, out of college, you're gonna be needing a loan. And what those bank loaners are gonna be looking at is your credit report, and they're gonna see how reliable you are on paying your money back on time. Or are you more riskier? If you're riskier, you're going to have higher interest rates. So that means you're going to be paying more money per month on your loan. And so, like, let's say this is a small example, but your loan is $50. You wouldn't have technically a $50 loan on a car, but your loan's $50 and then you have higher interest rates, you could be paying $60 at the end. Or if you're having lower interest rates, you'll be paying at the end 55. And so $5 isn't a big difference, but when you're having a huge loan, that interest rate, it racks up. And so you want good credit report so you can get those lower interest rates and you can look more reliable to your lender. And so just establishing that now, like even if it's just like small credit card that you're paying off for some purchases that you're having a plan for, like that all adds to it, and it'll just help you up for success. For your later self will thank you having a good credit. Gilbert has anything to add?
You hit the nail on the head, Logan. Nothing I can add to that.
Perfect. And then we have, and the next question is about the emergency fund. So how can you start making an emergency fund? And more importantly, where should we keep that emergency fund?
So for your emergency fund, as Gilbert touched on, if your goal is to start saving $10 a month, you won't really hit that 3 to 6 month emergency fund tomorrow. But starting now, start first. Do you even have a savings? Like, is that your goal, just to get a little bit of a savings? I know that emergency fund is for probably more like when you're an adult and you're going through your day-to-day life, but it's something to think about as a college student, that you want to start building to where your savings is 3 to 6 months. But as a college student, maybe it is just starting your savings now. I know a lot of students are just like, oh, I have my allowance, and then it's zero by the end of the month. And so maybe it's saving $10 every month, and then that just can start building. And then you can open in a bank account, there's a lot of savings account, and you can just keep your emergency fund in there. But you're not going to get it overnight. And so it sounds like a lot, but just starting small, and then eventually you'll build that up.
I don't know if Gilbert has anything to add. Okay. All right. Cool. So another question would be, what are ways that I could manage debt?
No. Are you taking this one, Gilbert, or?
Sure, I'll help out with this. So debt, the best way to handle any situation when it comes to your money is, again, I'm going to say this a lot, and you all will probably get tired of hearing it, but is to understand your situation. How do you best understand your situation and know what you can and cannot do, what wiggle room you have? It's by budgeting. Once you create that budget, you know how much money you have, how much you're spending, then you can better get a grasp on how much money you're able to save, or maybe not save, or apply towards any debt that you have. One common debt that a lot of college students leave college with is student loan debt. And what you have to do is create some sort of plan to address your student loans, which the Financial Wellness Center, we can kind of help you to some degree understand what your loan obligations are. And also we can review different loan programs out there that can help you with your after college situation and managing that debt. So debt can come in the form of a lot of different ways. It can be credit card debt. It could be student loan debt. It may be a friend that you owe money to, a debt that's out there. But it all starts with getting that budget in place and realizing that if you do have extra money, creating a plan on where to put those extra funds or that extra money that you have. It's if a parent or family member or grandparent or someone gives you a Christmas gift or a birthday gift or something like that, it's putting that money back and saying, okay, what can I do? What would make the most sense with this money? Would it be to put this toward the credit card that I have or towards some other debt that you have? And it's about having some sort of plan in place. And if you listen to some of the finance people or finance gurus that are out there, they may tell you to just pay everything off or not worry about saving or whatever they may say. But the thing with finances is that everything is situational and everyone's situation is different. So you have to do what's best for you in your situation. And how do you realize that? And how do you know what your situation is? It's by creating that budget. So yeah, I'll end there.
Cool. And I just kind of had this question because we're talking about debt, right? So debt is usually seen as a negative thing, right? There's a whole stigma, but I've heard a lot of people say that you could use debt, you could borrow money for something good, right? So what are some good ways, or what would you say are? I'm trying to learn how to phrase this, but what are some positive ways or positive things in being in debt or owing some money?
Oh, yeah, sure. So you'll hear folks in the finance world talk about good debt, bad debt. It all boils down to your situation. If you're buying a home and instead of paying rent, so say rent is $700 a month, it varies. But if you have a home or if you go and try to purchase your first home, which a lot of people they have no idea how to go about it. But if you're purchasing a home, you're paying $700 towards something that you will own, and you're building what is called equity, which is ownership in a home. So if you're paying monthly, something you have to pay for every month regardless, why not pay for something where you're getting ownership? That is what I would consider to be a good debt. It's a home or a condo or whatever you decide to get. And I encourage each and every college student, once you graduate, to consider home ownership. There are a number of programs out there that can help with down payment assistance and that can get you to closer to becoming a homeowner right after college. So I encourage everyone to do that. So that is what I would consider one type of good debt. A vehicle, it depends. If you get a car loan that is difficult to keep up with, you're struggling each month to make the payment, and you could have gotten a car maybe less expensive, then I'd probably consider that an auto loan that stretches your budget and becomes hard to keep up with. I wouldn't consider that good debt. Now, an auto loan that you can afford each month, that you're paying for, that of course you're buying the car that you can eventually pay off, that is debt that I would consider as being good, meaning you're getting something, you need a car, you need reliable transportation. And as long as you don't overdo it, then you can be in a good situation. Another debt that's common amongst college students is student loan debt. And Logan talked about investing earlier. You're also investing in your future when you go to college. You're spending time, you're spending money towards your future. And hopefully you get a job that pays that back, many times over with your career, and also your options that degree offers you in your situation. So there are different debts that are out there. I say good or bad. One bad debt that I encourage any and everyone to avoid are like payday loans. Anytime you see one of those payday cash advance places, go away, stay away from them. They are nothing but debt traps, and they get you in a situation where you're you're just going in circles. And I won't go into too much detail, but that is something that I would consider to be bad debt, where you owe someone money and you'll almost never get out of that situation um, without something phenomenal happening. So there's good debt, there's bad debt, anything that's contributing to your future, so to speak. That is what I would consider to be some sort of good debt. Also, one last thing I'll add. I promise I'll stop talking in a second. But with credit cards, so credit cards, they're always viewed as being negative and they're bad. Well, usually. If you keep a balance, you pay interest, as Logan talked about earlier, and interest I consider is bad. So if you can get a credit card and pay it off each month, buy something small, buy gas, buy a Coke or buy a soda or buy Gatorade or whatever you drink or eat or whatever you do, buy that once a month, pay it off immediately, then you can start the process of building up credit and at the same time avoiding any interest. And that credit, as Logan said earlier, I'm referring back to Logan because she done such a great job, was credit is something that it helps you long term. And if you can start building that while you're in college, that may be a debt that's temporary that you're able to pay off, but it allows you to build something for your future, which is your credit score. So I think that's enough about debt.
No, I think that was great. I kind of have a personal question. So like if you have a debit card and a credit card and you have the money to like buy like groceries, you say, on your debit card, would you just use your credit card instead if you're able to just pay it off?
I mean, a credit card is definitely more secured when you're making purchases. It'll just help you protect yourself from fraud and things like that. I know a grocery store is a little bit more of a reliable source if you're going to use your debit card. But if you're thinking about like making an online purchase and stuff like that, definitely a credit card would be more of a secured option just to protect you because let's say someone hacked your credit card and they're taking fake money in a sense away from you. It's easier to kind of recover. But if they're hacking your debit card, that's going to be your money and it's going to take a little bit of a longer time for the bank to get it back. And in the meantime, like you'll be out of the money you had. So I mean, if you're able to pay off your credit card without at the end of the month without getting that interest, I mean, it definitely will help build your credit score as well as also kind of add you that layer of protection from fraud on your debit card and keep your debit card for more of like secured purchases. If Gilbert has anything to add on the differences.
Oh, Logan covered it. Perfect. That was perfect.
Cool. Thank you for that. Next question is kind of about, a savings account, like whether it be in a credit union or a bank. Do these savings accounts accumulate handsome interest? Is it worth keeping in the bank and will it make you money over time?
So when you keep money in a savings account, it's a really small interest rate. So you're talking about cents of what you're going to be like accruing every month, and that's just because like keeping your money in the bank is like the safest option on a scale of risky level. So like stock market would be like you're keeping your money in there, it's fluctuating, profits loss, but a savings account is like the most reliable and it's just going to be a really small um interest rate. And so that's just kind of like where you want to keep your money when like you need it now, like you need it every day. That's kind of where you want to keep your money at. And you probably won't even, I don't even notice the interest that I get on my savings account. And so you probably won't notice it, but it is really small. So I guess way long term you might notice, but just the safest option.
All right, we have one more question. Um, is there a certain amount of money that we need to necessarily like put in a savings account each month for it to keep like to stay, or for you to like maintain it, or does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. I think going back to like what Gilbert said, it's just knowing your situation, which I know you've probably heard a lot, but as well as just like your financial goals. I mean, I don't think there's like an arbitrary savings amount that I could give you, but it's maybe you're saving up to purchase something, or your goal by the end of the month is, or the end of the year is to have like a couple hundred in savings that you're accumulating. It's whatever you're wanting to see your savings count to be really. And so it's really up to you and whatever you're really wanting to hope and accomplish, I would say is what your saving amount.
And just one thing I'll add to that is kind of on the banking side. They have different types of savings accounts where some are geared more towards college students and they may not have any fees, whereas some that pay a little bit more in interest, like instead of 0.01% interest, they may pay 0.015% interest or something like that. And those will typically require a minimum balance in your savings account. But college student, you should not pay for a savings account. So whatever financial institution you use, be sure that they have you in probably what is called a college savings account, and you won't pay any type of fees. So back to what Logan said, it's just about how much you want to put in there each month and building that strong habit that will continue.
Well, thank you so much for answering all the questions we had for y'all. That was all the questions we had. I don't know if Megan wants to ask anything else or Nico, but yeah, thank you.
That was perfect. Thanks for sharing all of our great questions. So I think that's the time that we have and the questions that we have. So that worked out perfectly. But Logan and Gilbert, thank you so much for coming and sharing. And I learned a lot, and I hope everyone else did too. For those of you watching, I want to plug that the Financial Wellness Center is also going to be part of our summer program. So I will put more information about registering for summer in the description. Our applications open on May 1st, and our program, that's right, it's a celebration. And our program will be in the last week of July. So we can get you some more information in the description, but if you want to dive in a little bit deeper and have some more conversations, that's a great place to see how it fits in with the rest of the pre-college programming that we do as part of SAIL. So definitely keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Hope everyone has a really great rest of your afternoon, rest of your week. Always feel free to reach out to us with any questions, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you later. I think I ended our stream. Yeah, perfect. I forgot. I was like,